10 inspiring true stories from around the world. Number 10, from starving child to global voice for freedom. She was just 13 when she crossed a frozen river into the unknown. Yeonmi Park wasn't escaping war, she was escaping North Korea, a world where you're punished for speaking your mind, where even your thoughts aren't safe. She grew up believing the dictator could read her mind. Her family scavenged for food, sometimes eating grass or insects to survive. Her father was arrested for smuggling, and the government let him waste away in a labor camp. With her mother by her side, she fled into China. But freedom didn't come, instead they were sold into human trafficking, treated like property, stripped of their dignity. Somehow, she survived. They escaped again, this time through the Gobi Desert in the freezing dark. No map, no food, just hope. Eventually, by 2009 they reached South Korea, free, but broken. Yeonmi didn't stay silent. She found her voice. She wrote a book, In Order to Live, and began speaking out, everywhere from podcasts to the United Nations. From starving child to global activist, her journey is almost impossible to believe. Check the comments to see what happened next. Number 9, the boy who harnessed the wind. This boy was told he had no future. Born in rural Malawi, William Kamkwamba dropped out of school because his family couldn't afford the $80 annual fee, but he refused to give up on learning. At just 14 years old, using a book from the local library, he taught himself how wind power worked. Then, with scrap metal, old bicycle parts, and pieces of blue gum trees, he built something unimaginable, a functioning wind turbine. It powered a light bulb in his home, then a radio. Eventually, he brought electricity and irrigation to his entire village, during a time of devastating drought and famine. At first, locals mocked him. But when the windmill blades started spinning, they saw more than just a machine. They saw hope. William's invention changed lives, and the boy once called crazy became a global symbol of resilience, innovation, and the unstoppable power of belief. Number 8, the mother of the nation who kept the struggle alive. She wasn't just Mandela's ally, she was the heart of the movement. Albertina Sisulu trained as a nurse, but healing wounds wasn't enough, not when her country was bleeding under apartheid. She joined the African National Congress, becoming one of its most powerful women, a leader of the ANC Women's League, a co-founder of the United Democratic Front, and a woman who organized one of the largest anti-apartheid marches in history. She balanced it all, resistance and motherhood. 5 children, constant police raids. Her husband, Walter Sisulu, jailed for decades. She became the family's backbone while becoming a symbol of national defiance. Albertina was arrested, beaten, harassed by the state. But she never broke. She raised not just her children, but a generation of young activists. They called her Mother of the Nation. Not just for what she survived, but for what she built. Check the pinned comment for 10 facts that make her story even more incredible. Number 7, the girl who fell from the sky. This girl fell 10,000 feet from the sky, and survived. Juliane Koepcke was just 17 years old when her plane was struck by lightning over the Amazon rainforest. The aircraft disintegrated mid-air, sending her plummeting 2 miles down, still strapped to her seat. Miraculously, she survived the fall, but she was alone, injured, and stranded in one of the most unforgiving jungles on Earth. With a broken collarbone, deep wounds, and maggots infesting her injuries, she relied on the survival skills her parents had taught her. For 11 days, she walked through the dense rainforest, following a river, drinking rainwater, and fending off deadly wildlife. Then, finally, she was found. A group of local fishermen discovered her, barely alive, and took her to safety. Juliane Koepcke's survival is nothing short of a miracle, a true testament to human resilience, instinct, and sheer will to live. Number 6, the fighter who never stopped fighting. He was a rising star in the boxing ring, fast, fearless, and feared. Rubin "Hurricane" Carter was a top middleweight contender in the 1960s, known for knocking opponents out cold. But his greatest fight wasn't in the ring, it was for his freedom. In 1966, Carter was wrongly convicted of a triple homicide in New Jersey. No weapon, no motive, just a flawed lineup and racism. He was sentenced to life in prison, stripped of everything. But he refused to be broken. From behind bars, he wrote his autobiography, The 16th Round, and became a symbol of injustice. His story spread across the world, inspiring Bob Dylan's powerful song Hurricane, and decades later, a film starring Denzel Washington. After nearly 20 years behind bars, his conviction was finally overturned. The judge declared it based on racism rather than reason. Rubin Carter never got his prime back, but he got his name back, a fighter in every sense who battled the system and won. Number 5, from captive to Nobel Laureate. This woman was kidnapped, enslaved, and subjected to unimaginable horror. At just 21 years old, Nadia Murad, a Yazidi from northern Iraq, was taken by ISIS when they invaded her village in 2014. Her mother was executed, her brothers were killed, and Nadia, along with thousands of other Yazidi women, was forced into sexual slavery. She was sold, beaten, raped, and traded between militants like property. But Nadia never gave up hope. After 3 months in captivity, she found a way to escape, fleeing through the streets of Mosul with the help of a Muslim family who risked their lives to protect her. Nadia didn't stay silent. She told the world what happened, loudly, fearlessly, and with unwavering strength. She became the voice of an entire community, testifying before the United Nations, demanding justice for victims of genocide and sexual violence. In 2018, she became the first Iraqi and the first Yazidi to win the Nobel Peace Prize. But more than that, she became a symbol of survival, dignity, and the power of speaking truth to terror. Would you have had the courage to speak out? Number 4, the Japanese Schindler. This man disobeyed his government to save lives and became a silent hero of the Holocaust. Chiune Sugihara was a Japanese diplomat stationed in Lithuania during World War II. In 1940, desperate Jewish refugees lined up outside his office, begging for exit visas. They had no passports, no documents, just fear and hope. Tokyo told him, "Do not help them." But Sugihara couldn't turn his back. For 29 days straight, he hand-wrote visas, over 300 a day, even as he ate and barely slept. His wife massaged his hands when they cramped from writing too much. When he was finally forced to leave, he threw blank-signed visas out the train window to the crowd. In total, he saved over 6,000 Jews, more than Oskar Schindler. He lost his job, lived in obscurity, and never asked for recognition. One survivor called him humanity at its best. Chiune Sugihara, the Japanese Schindler, risked everything just to do what was right. Number 3. The woman who gave her life for gorillas. She left behind comfort to live among giants. Dian Fossey wasn't just a primatologist, she was a warrior for wildlife. Deep in the Rwandan mountains, she built her life among mountain gorillas, creatures once hunted, feared, and misunderstood. She didn't just observe them, she named them, mimicked their sounds, and gained their trust. Silverbacks approached her, infants played beside her. Over time, they became her family. Her research spanned over 18 years, making her one of the most dedicated and influential gorilla experts in history. But poachers were always nearby, killing for profit. Dian fought back. She destroyed traps, confronted hunters, and exposed corruption. Her passion made her a target. In 1985, she was found murdered in her cabin, likely by those threatened by her activism. She died protecting the creatures she loved. But her work lives on. Thanks to her sacrifice, mountain gorillas still roam the misty forests. Dian Fossey didn't just study gorillas, she became their voice, and gave her life to save them. Number 2. The king who chose love over power. This boy was supposed to be king. Born into royalty in 1921, Seretse Khama was heir to the throne of Bechuanaland, now Botswana. Educated in South Africa and the UK, he was brilliant, charismatic, and black. Then he did something that shocked the world. He married a white woman. Ruth Williams, an English clerk, became his wife in 1948. Their love defied British colonial laws, and the brutal system of apartheid just across the border in South Africa. The backlash was immediate. His own government exiled him. Britain stripped him of his title. He lost his throne, not because he broke the law but because he broke tradition. But he didn't give up. Years later, Seretse returned, not just as a chief, but as the first president of an independent Botswana. He turned the nation into one of Africa's most stable democracies, all because he chose love and never backed down. Would you risk it all for love? Watch more true stories that history tried to erase. Number 1. The world's strongest underdog. He was born into a world that never gave him a chance. Francis Ngannou grew up in a small village in Cameroon, his family too poor to afford shoes, let alone dreams. At just 10 years old, he was working in sand mines. His muscles grew out of survival, not sport, but he had a vision, one no one else could see. At 26, with no money, no passport, and no training, he left for Europe. The journey? Brutal. He crossed the Sahara Desert, slept in the streets, was imprisoned in Spain, but still, he kept going. He made it to France, where he finally found a boxing gym, and people laughed when he said he wanted to be world champion. They're not laughing now. Ngannou became the UFC heavyweight champion, the man with the hardest punch ever recorded, but he's more than power. He's proof that pain can be purpose, that even when life buries you in sand, you can rise and break the world.